Hello everyone, and welcome back to another YouTube video. I know it's been a while since I've uploaded, and I'm sorry for that. I'm also sorry because I have a bit of a cold right now, so expect me to cough a lot during the recording of this. But I didn't want to delay it any further because you guys have already waited just so long for me to upload. I mean, it's been like over a month. So I feel like I should just get right into this. You guys can read this title, you saw the thumbnails, so let's just get right into it. Like for my Amphibia what if Bill Cipher tried to take over Amphibia, season 1 goes completely without change. It's only in season 2 where things begin to diverge from the original show. Separate tides, uh, when Luz and Ida are fighting the Salkidamus, Luz ends up spotting something Ida doesn't: the Bill Cipher symbol on a wall of the cave. Luz lets Ida get King back by herself while she reads the inscription that lets Bill visit her head. That night, Bill visits Luz in her sleep using his manipulating tactics, and he manages to convince Luz that he is a muse that has infinite knowledge and will give Luz the information of how to build a portal back home, and in exchange, allow him to enter and exit her body from time to time. While Luz is a little suspicious, she is convinced that it isn't really that much of a big deal, and decides to shake Bill's hand. In escaping expulsion, when Luz is fighting the Abomaton 2.0, Bill ends up taking over, and with his vast knowledge of how abominations and glyphs work, is able to take down the abomination with ease, not even needing help from Amity, but Amity ends up helping anyway because she is a simp. Echoes of the past ends up staying the same. But after the episode, Luz decides to confront Bill and see if he knows anything about King's origins. Bill tells Luz that King is a Titan right off the bat, but leaves out any information about the Collector, as it would be pretty risky to tell Luz that someone else knows how to build a portal. Luz wants to tell everyone about this new discovery, but Bill informs her that no one would believe her if she just announced this with no evidence. He tells Luz that the only place that has irrefutable proof that King is a Titan is Titan Trapper Island, and the only way to get there would be to make King known to the Titan Trappers. While Luz sees this as a risky play, Bill reassures her that only one witch there would actually recognize King as a Titan, and everyone else would just think he's wearing a very convincing costume. Luz still thinks it's quite risky, and they agree that they would need time to make a plan and all of that. While Luz is doing this to help King figure out what he is, Bill is doing this because he thinks it would be useful to have a sufficient source of Titan blood in case any first portal attempts fail, and the blood from the key is completely drained. In keeping up appearances, Luz asks Bill if there would be any way to cure Ida of her curse, and from there, the timeline splits into two. Bill either tells Luz how to cure the curse, or tell her that the curse cannot be cured. This isn't because of anything to do with Bill, it's just that I don't know if the curse is actually curable or not. So I went to that Wheel of Fortune app thing, to see which one we should go over in this video, and it landed on curing the curse. So that will be the timeline we go down for this episode and the next one, and the 2 episodes after that will be of the second option. So Luz learns how to cure Ida from Bill, which is great, but she needs to convince Gwen that she's being scammed, which would be easy with Bill's assistance. So after that, she and Gwen actually begin the curing process, and while we're not sure how it will go, I will take a bit of creative liberty and say the Albies, instead of being completely destroyed, was removed from Ida and Lilith at the same time and let out into the physical world. The owl beast, thankful, goes out into the wild to be free, and who knows, maybe will help the Clothworns if they ever see them in trouble. Also, they get rid of Willis Owl Beast. I forgot I said that already, dang it. But anyways, Lilith goes back to her house with Gwen, and the Clawthorn sisters are just no longer cursed. That is no longer a factor in this timeline. Through the Looking Glass Ruins is the first major change in the timeline. While Gus's part stays the same, Luz's part goes more similar to Yesterday's Lie. She had finally finished the portal, and from there, it's basically just Yesterday's Lie until the very end. Bill reveals that he had been stuck in the in-between realm, but luckily Luz, King Hootie, and the new fully powered Ida were able to keep him in there and get Luz out. And so no Weird Mageddon today. Luz feels a little betrayed by this, but little to her knowledge, Bill could still phase in and out of her body sometimes. Ford in Gravity Falls got rid of Bill by installing that metal plate in his head, but Luz obviously isn't going to do that, so Bill just has free roam around Luz's mind. And from there, he plans to create another portal in secret of the other residents of the Owl House. In Hunting Palisman, Amity actually shows up to Palisman Adoption Day, since she's not embarrassed to see Luz after the kiss, because that never happened. I'm not sure if she would have changed her hair color, but it's not important to the story. Here's the interesting part, though. Hunter never goes to Hexside to steal the Palisman. Keep that in your back pocket. In Ida's Requiem, Luz's part goes the same, but Ida's changes since she is no longer cursed. Ida ends up joining the Bats and is able to make their operations 10 times more efficient, with her having powers now. Rain doesn't even get captured, not because Ida was able to fight off Darius and Everwolf, but because the Owlbees just so happened to be in the area. With that, Ida and Rain even had the time to save the rest of the Bats and make it back in time to watch Luz and King finish the race. Since Darius failed, he confronts Rain, he just confronts Rain, he knows that Rain is not with this whole Day of Unity crap, and that they can all work together and be friends. In knocking on Hootie's door, Ida wouldn't need any help from Hootie with her having magic back, and Luz, despite not going to the library to get Philip's journal, would still be madly in love with Amity, because of course she is. King has no change to his main plotline yet, so this episode ends up going relatively similar, but no Harpy Ida. Bill, as Luz, would have Hootie cough up the letter to King, and Edge of the World would take Eclipse Lake's place in the timeline, but nothing major changes. Luz would get a flashback from the name Bill, but nothing much else. Yesterday's lie is replaced with through the looking glass ruins, since Luz now needs to find someone who knows how to make a portal. However, since Gus's storyline in that episode already happened, he is able to tag along with the now dating Luz and Amity. So when Luz accidentally yells in the ancient library place with Philip's journal, Gus is able to hide the three of them with an illusion spell, preventing Amity from being fired entirely. But yeah, it didn't really change much. Follies at the Coven Day Parade stays the same, but Luz ends up telling Amity about Bill, which makes Amity the only other person to know about Bill. Elsewhere and Elsewhen doesn't happen because Luz as sorry. Uh, Elsewhere and Elsewhen doesn't happen yet because Luz has not yet gotten to the point of learning about how Philip met the Collector, considering she only got the mouse 2 episodes ago. And assuming Hunter didn't die from returning to the castle empty-handed in what was supposed to be Eclipse Lake, uh, uh, any sport in a storm would stay the same. And finally, a new change in the timeline. In reaching out, since Ida has her magic again, she is able to create a truth spell for Warden Wrath right off the bat. But the whole thing with him becoming him with Warden Wrath becoming a monster doesn't happen. This ends up leading to Amity and Luz having to talk with Alador instead of having a nice monster fight, and this talk ends up going badly. This ends up with Amity actually running away from her home to live in the owl house. This makes Alador feel guilty, but Odalia is still a Karen. Quick little fourth wall break real quick, but this is why I love making these what-ifs. One little change can make entire plot points separate from the things that happened in the original show. I feel like a lot of YouTubers who do what-ifs on these kinds of shows only focus on the really lore-important episodes, but I need to look through every single episode because sometimes plot points that are dropped in one episode or are just one episode bit end up becoming major parts of the story because of what-ifs. Them's the Break Kid unsurprisingly stays the same, since most of that episode takes place in flashback, and even the parts outside of the flashback stay the same. Sure, Amity lives in the owl house now, but that doesn't change much in this particular episode. The same, however, cannot be said for Hollow Mind. Amity ends up following Luz and Hunter into Belos' mind. Upon getting there, there seems to be no Palisman monster for some reason, and with no Palisman monster, the actual Belos is free to be himself and hunt down the kids. But Amity is able to stand her ground against him, for the most part, and this episode goes mostly the same. The three just look through the memories that have stayed the same, but there is another memory at the end of the memories they already looked at in the original timeline. One with Philip talking with Bill, and they mentioned that, without a doubt, Belos wants to eliminate all life in the demon realm. While this is far enough in the past that Belos looks more like Philip than Belos, since Luz has yet to go back to the past, she doesn't recognize him. She also notices a portal that looks like the one Bill made her create while he was in her mind. After that, the whole reveal of Philip being Belos would happen, but Luz, not having been to the past, is actually given intel she didn't know about. Everything after stays the same, though. Since Edge of the World already happened, this is actually the episode the events of Elsewhere and Elsewhen take place. I actually did the math, and Luz should have learned about the Collector in this episode from the Echo Mouse, so this ends up being perfect timing. So Luz was explaining to Ida, King, and Hooty what she saw in Belos's mind, and she didn't have to explain to Amity because she was there. But before she can confess that she made a deal with Bill, the Echo Mouse turns on its page rereading thing and reveals the Collector. Luz, now knowing Philip is Belos, knows that in order to get to the Collector, she doesn't need to go back in time, but instead just needs to steal the Collector from Belos, kind of making this episode a mixture of Elsewhere and Elsewhen and Oh Titan, Where Art Thou? While this heist didn't go according to plan in the main timeline, since this is the part where Lilith shows back up, she is able to assist. Ida, now being protective of her kids, tells them to stay at the Owl House and let her and Lilith handle it. This episode will then be split into two parts. The first part following Ida and Lilith. It shows how they sneak into the Emperor's castle, steal the Collector, and just barely get out. All of that classical cartoon shenanigans. The second part follows Luz, Amity, King, Hooty, and the Echo Mouse if you decide to care enough about him. And since this is the episode where the Owl House gets raided, this will be the episode where they try to avoid the Emperor's guards and escape the Owl House. While you could argue Hooty could fend them off, it's clear that Belos isn't playing around anymore. This episode would have them escape the Owl House and bring Hooty along with them. While they do escape the Emperor's army, they end up running straight into Odalia, who takes all of them back to Blight Manor. Despite Amity not being present during Labyrinth Runners, that episode doesn't change much. In clouds on the horizon, Ida and Lilith return to the Owl House to find it ravaged. Since King is linked to the Collector, he is able to get the Collector to get a message to Ida and Lilith about where they are. After realizing where the kids were taken, they quickly go to Blight Manor. Speaking of which, I feel like I should mention what's happening there. Amity is grounded while Luz, King, and Hooty are being held captive for Odalia to sell them to the Emperor's Coven. Amity and her dad have a talk and end up making up, and shortly after, Ida and Lilith appear. They start a fight with Odalia, but in the middle of the fight, an Emperor's Blimp thing shows up. Luckily, of all the people that could have been operating that blimp, it was Rain, Darius, and Everwolf. They take the residence of the Owl House, while Amity and Alador sneak on. They then head to the Cat's base. In King's Tide, the Cats come up with a plan to stop the Day of Unity, but because neither Ida nor Lilith are cursed anymore, they end up having trouble coming up with a plan, until they remember they have the Collector. They tell the Collector to that if they stop the training spell, then they would free him and play as many games as he would want. While the Collector is completely on board with playing new games, he still doesn't believe Belos is a bad guy. So when they get to the head, instead of trying to stop the draining spell, they just start fighting Belos. Even with the help of the cats, they don't stand a chance, and the Collector remains unconvinced. When it seems like Belos is about to make a killing blow on Luz, Hunter, Willow, and Gus show up and Hunter kicks Belos in the head. Belos ends up talking about how he killed his brother, wanting to destroy all life in the demon realm, including the Collector. The Collector, now fully convinced Belos is evil, gets released by King, and the collector yeets Bellows to the wall and then stops the draining spell before it even starts. Just when it seems like everything is alright, Bellows, dying, gets possessed by Bill one final time, and informs everyone that the portal he's been building in secret in Luz's body is about to open. They were also focused on stopping Bellows that they completely forgot a greater evil. Within seconds, a beam of weirdness shoots into the sky, and Season 2 is left on a beautiful cliffhanger. Yeah, that, my friends, is the end of this particular What If. I hope you enjoyed this one. Again, I'm sorry that I have not uploaded in so long. It's just been really busy, and I've been very lazy because it's Christmas time. I don't want to do that. That's not a thing I want to do. I enjoy making these what ifs. But anyways, I don't want to keep you here any longer, so I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.